Hey, YouTube or guys and girls, humans, my fellow, my fellow humans. So this is, of course, you can see here, literary criticism or introducing literary criticism, a graphic guide. And when I read this book, I thought that it was gonna be about actually critiquing literature, but it wasn't necessarily. They just, well, we can start with the questions, of course. So number one, what is the book about? We can get into that here. This book is mainly about the history of theories in literary criticism. So they started with, of course, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, people of those sorts. Then they kind of jumped all the way to modern times almost, or the Age of Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, if that was in the 1600s, because they talked about a lot of university in the 1800s, 1900s, 20th century stuff, and 19th century stuff, I should say, too. So now number two, what was being said in detail, or what's the main points of this book? What are they talking about? Kind of goes with what the book is about, but a little more detail. So this is honestly just a history, and I was kind of disappointed because this was kind of going to be my gateway into literature, while it kind of was because, or literary criticism, I should say, because I seen that, of course, I like reading books, so reading literature like that's no problem, man. If I can critique it at the same point, that's kind of getting some like a head start against the kids at school who aren't doing this. And when I take my AP classes for senior year, it'll be a good head start to have this in my repertoire basically. So they pretty much just gave me, well, they didn't give me it, but they talked about some good books for me to learn about the different types of criticism, which they talked about. Well, the main one, basically, the main one they talked about was practical criticism. And basically, that's just interpreting the text and just pretty much interpreting it into different forms. So, in the book they gave me on that, I should say, is Principles of Literary Criticism. I'm not sure who the author of that book is, but I'll check it out. So now, number three, is the book true? Well, with history, we can't be too sure, especially with a lot of the things they talked about. Like, for instance, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard someone say if William Shakespeare was a she, and they mentioned William Shakespeare as a he in this book. So, is it true? We don't know. But the theories that they showed up obviously are true. They talked also about psychoanalysts or psychoanalysis, I should say, with Sigmund Freud, which I want to get into that. I like his, or I should say, I've heard some of his theories on dreams, which I partake in. I partake in books about dreams. Or I've read some, I should say. So now number four, what's the meaning of this book? Yeah, with this book kind of just being kind of a history. Well, history books have meanings like the ones I've read in the past, but there's not. I couldn't really get a meaning from this. They pretty much just gave facts. Like it was pretty much just a big study, almost, or a big research paper, I should say, more so than a study, and a big research paper of people and the type of theories that they believed in. So, if you want to know history of literary criticism, I would suggest this book. But if you wanted to actually learn how to criticize books or critique, if that's the proper ending, if you want to learn how to critique books, then I don't think it's the place to look. But it might be a good start because they did recommend a lot of books, and by a lot I mean I have 5 on my list right now, but there were some more that I didn't pick out. So, literary criticism. This is a pretty short video, but it was a pretty short book, pretty short read.